Hey everybody, this is Bo back in the lounge. Want to do a shout out and thank you for making zsportslounge.com your choice and the host affiliates that equal that 1.5 million listeners, and obviously the men and women stationed all over this globe on military bases protecting our way of life. We have a chance to go out to Missouri Baptist University, talk a little wrestling with Brian Jackson. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing fabulous. How you doing today, Bo?
Good. I want to say good morning. We know you're a little bit hour difference from us, so it's a little earlier there.
Yeah, it's about 10 a.m., but I've been up early, getting my twins ready for school and out and about.
What's interesting is that when you have kids, things are in a different perspective when you get moving. People who don't have kids have no concept what it's like to get somebody ready to go to school.
Not at all. But as a wrestling coach having twin boys, I couldn't be any happier.
You're one of the few coaches that actually has boys. I think we just had a discussion with Heath Grimm, and it seems like every coach out there winds up having girls.
Yeah, I've got twin boys that are 6, and then I've got another son that's 3 years old. So I should get at least 12 All-Americans out of them.
That's so true, Coach. You're brand new in that program since 2004. You've got 4 years in now, 4+ years now in, and you've got some individuals that have followed sort of your mindset. But before we start talking about the successes, who are those guys right now in the locker room that are leading the squad, and who are those underclassmen that are supporting your message?
The exciting thing about my program is, I'm able to send a lot of messages, not only, the aspect of hard work and sacrifice, but also some Christian messages that are important to me, and that's important as far as being able to, exhibit that to the kids. And, I watch kids come in as freshmen and mature and positive young men that go on in the community and contribute to their communities where they live later on, and a lot of that is the messages that I send and the institution as well.
Absolutely. There's so many more messages in sports. Sports is pretty much a hobby or just something we enjoy. However, in the locker room and on the field, there are lifelong messages: hard work, faith in others, faith in yourself, and faith in God. And the fact that teams may lose and teams may win, it doesn't matter about the win-loss record on the field. It matters what they do off the field.
That is correct. And, I've got, seen a lot of kids that came in as my first recruiting class, and seeing them, I've got a kid who was a 2-time All-American for me, Nigel Kenworthy, and, seeing him going off and beginning his coaching and teaching career is really exciting to me, and watching him mature through the years, and those are some things that give me a perspective as far as whether I'm doing my job properly or not.
Absolutely. And Coach, when you think about all the athletes that have gone through yourself over the last several years, whether it's in your program or other programs that you've mentored and worked at, wrestlers are a little unique among themselves. Obviously, people can draw parallels to swimmers because of the fact it's individual and team sport, but wrestlers, because of the training involved, there is no joke about what wrestlers have to go through either in the classroom or on the mats. And, to have you as a coach understand it at Missouri Baptist, there's a lot to be said for the messages that you can instill these kids before they graduate.
Oh, definitely. And that's a huge part of why I came to the institution where I'm at. And, I've got a support group of a very talented assistant coach that's in line with all my beliefs and the goals of the institution as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a big part, is to have the alumni and the university support in your program, because as we all know, wrestling is a very tough sport. A lot of programs are successful, a lot of programs aren't successful, and a lot of times the media only follows what they do on the mat, but not off the mat. You all have something special going off the mat in your program.
That is definitely true, and my big motto is faith in learning, and on a constant daily basis, we constantly motivate the kids, not only for working hard with victory, but as well as everything that they do to glorify Christ, and that's something that gives another perspective to their hard work and their sacrifice.
Coach, when I look at your 2009-2010 roster, we see a lot of duplication of weight classes. You have an awesome opportunity here to have true competition in the true sense. and the fact that you're going to have real practices on the mat. Even some of the D1 wrestling programs do not have the diversity of athletes that you have. You have many, 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 I guess, wars that'll be going on very shortly here.
Oh yeah, I was. This is the first year where I've had so many 125, 133 pounders, and I've got a kid, Esmond Ford, who's a local kid from Missouri, who was a two-time undefeated state champ. And I was lucky enough to, build a relationship through him during the recruiting process and get a blue chip athlete like that. And, I also picked up a kid named Zach Murray, who was a large school state champ and a four-time placer. So, and then I've got some returners at those weight classes that were really strong. So we're going to be seeing a lot of battles at 25 and 33. So it'll look like a cat fight because, those guys go at it, don't stop, continuous action. And I'm really excited about, the growth of the guys that were there, having someone come in to challenge them and what I'm going to see down the line with those young kids that we brought in this year.
Well, the other element that you've brought to the program is you now have the ladies, the women stepping into the mats and have an opportunity to really practice their wares. We've seen the explosion and the success of women in MMA. We've seen the success, obviously, in the Olympics. In Canada has extensive women's program. It's got to feel good to have a very visible success story going on in yours now.
Well, I was real excited. A couple of years ago, I was had the thought of bringing on a women's program the main reason was, I know all the opportunities that it had created for me, experiences, friendships that have came from wrestling. And I felt, now that it is growing and we're offering this as another opportunity for young women to continue their education and compete in the sport that they love, I felt that, it's created so many positive memories for myself, and it would be selfish to think that, this is just for young men to experience. It's a martial art, and that's the perspective that I look at it. So when I submitted a proposal to the institution, I was kind of leery whether or not they would look at it as that way because, we are a mildly conservative institution. But when I did it, using my business background and explained, and then also touched the heartstrings of some of the board members, it was something that they basically were online with my thoughts and beliefs, and were very, very, very receptive to it and accepted it. And I'm really excited and truly excited about this is my second year of the program, and some of the girls that I brought in this year are phenomenal with a lot of great things that they've done already on the mat.
The one element that I think we can draw to is that because you said you're conservative university, obviously being a Christian university, I think it goes across the board. But however, what you've done is pretty well put a finger on the growth of this sport. This sport, I believe, will not grow unless women are added to more programs to offset the Title IX issues. And the other element that it does is that women and ladies in wrestling, I've been right on this before, tend to listen more than some of the guys. And I have no qualms saying that. I've got, tons of support behind that message. But when you step on the mat and have ladies and you're trying to show them exactly what to do and how to do it, they tend to bite on, learn quicker. And when the matches take place, it's all about the entertainment value. They do an awesome job of execution. And I think as a coach, that's got to be rewarding when they actually listen, because guys sometimes don't listen. I know it's hard to say, but sometimes they just don't listen.
Well, with the guys, a lot of times, you've got you've got a kid that grew up wrestling, and he's still doing the things that he did in Little League wrestling. Communicate that, hey, some things have to change, and with a lot of the girls, they're relatively new, and if they're not new, as you said before and touched on, they definitely, from my perspective, are more acceptable to changes, and as a coach, it's very, very, very rewarding to see them respond as quickly as they do from the things that I ask of them.
Absolutely. That's one of the things I think a lot of coaches, Canada to the U.S., say is that when they step on the mat, the ladies don't have a pre-idea of what they're going to do. A lot of guys have been successful because they've been successful at what they do. They have a hard time converting or even understanding that they're doing something wrong. And, I think we've seen it in the professional ranks of the MMA, where we just had a big fight that was not televised. However, the press behind it was very successful. The execution of Sept and Shookman has taken the world by storm. You got Kathy Long entering into the octagon, Tara La Rosa, and Gina Carano, who are executioners, and they do follow through on their technique.